Guys, welcome to Extra Talk. We have today two very special guests. We have Sinan all the way from the US, correct?
That's right, New York City.
New York City. And Mehdi all the way from Denmark.
Yeah, Odense.
Two Besiktas fans. We're going to talk about our opponent from Ajax stance, of course. We're going to talk about you guys. And we have a bunch of things to discuss. Basically, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about your club. And of course, you guys are fans. So if you guys go too much into, like loving your club, I'm going to pull you back as we do. So let's see how it goes. Before we start, right, what we do is we always really we want to know our fans, how they became fans of their clubs. It's always a nice story and you hear a lot of things. So basically, I want to start with Sinan. How you became a fan of Besiktas?
Boy, that's a good question, actually. So first of all, I guess it goes back to when I was very young. And I used to visit Turkey every summer to see family. And my one uncle who could speak English really well. So this was, for anyone who's thinking about learning English and you want to promote your club, that's a good reason to do it. Because most of my family were Fenerbahce fans. Rabid.
What went wrong? What went wrong?
So just the one guy who could speak English. I can't speak Turkish. So one of the big tragedies of my life is that my mom never taught me Turkish. So that one guy who could just reach me, he got me onto the squad. And then years later, I kind of followed not so carefully. And I think I had an existential crisis. I wanted to be more Turkish. I couldn't speak the language. So to connect, I just latched on to Beşiktaş and Turkish football. And so ever since then, it's just been spiraling out of control.
How long has been this the case now?
Since I think really seriously, I started getting into it in the early 2000s, around 2002 when I was in college, I suppose. But now I have a podcast. We've been running for almost 3 years, so it's a real love now, a real passion.
Very good, very good. Mehdi, what's your story?
Yeah, man, I did almost the same as his. My family is also Fenerbahce fans, except my grandpa. He's a Beşiktaş fan, and he convinced me into being a Beşiktaş fan. So yeah.
So both your parents just failed, basically.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. Guys, before we start talking about your club, right, I have to ask this question, right? It's an Ajax channel. What do you guys know about Ajax? So Mehdi, I'll go with you first.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big club, I know, in Europe, also in the Holland. They have won 5 Champions Leagues, if I'm not wrong.
4, yeah, almost 5.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
5 in 19 if you count this, but no, we don't talk about that.
Thank you for that.
but I know Johan Cruyff, because I'm also a Barca fan. There's a lot of Dutch players. I know Rijkaard too, and who else? The new guy you bought, Darami from Copenhagen too, who's going to be a gem for you guys on the left, I think.
Thank you.
Oh, big club, very big club, much bigger than Beşiktaş, in my opinion. Also bigger than Dortmund too, who is in our group too, because I just think they have more, or you guys have more history, a bigger history too. And your playing style is I love it really much. Almost Barca-esque in 09 to 12, Tiki-Taka, playing it around, high pressing, just a really great big club.
Thank you. Sinan, what's your story? What do you know about Ajax?
Well, so it's actually kind of a funny story. My first favorite player, and this is before I had dove into the Turkish football world, but my first favorite player was Dennis Bergkamp, which that's a guy you'll recognize. And so, I've always had a ton of respect for Ajax. You guys are actually one of my first soccer replica shirts before I started getting more of the real ones was an Ajax shirt too. And I've been to Amsterdam many times over the years. For a long time in the 2000s, early 2000s, the cheapest way to get into Europe was into Amsterdam. And so I would always start lots of vacations in Amsterdam. And so that's why I got an Ajax replica shirt. I used to get jerseys from every city I visited. So that was a big one. But so, yeah, it's just a club that I've always had a ton of respect for. As Mehdi said, you guys' history speaks for itself, right? you guys are a huge club. Probably, honestly, like if the top tier is like, Madrid, Barca, and maybe now PSG, and you guys are probably right beneath them, right? As far as like international prestige and history and success. And even recently, your guys' success in the Champions League was really impressive, right? You guys have done kind of exceeded expectations in recent years. So yeah, I don't know. I have a ton of respect for you guys. Tadic is a hell of a player. So.
Oh,
Yes, yes. So one more question, right? You guys have so much respect for Ajax. So were you guys happy that you guys were drawn in the group with Ajax?
Who do you want to start? I'll start. I would say no. So I mean, I think we can all probably agree that the first pot we maybe kind of lucked out on, right? Like we could have gotten. Sorry, I had written this down somewhere, but right, like we could have. There were a number of much more dangerous sides than Sporting that we could have gotten.
Yeah.
And in the second pot, I believe as well, like we kind of lucked out with Dortmund. We could have gotten PSG, right? Like we had some nasty teams to get in those pots. But I think honestly, in pot 3, you guys were the one team we maybe didn't want to select. And then from pot 4, with the exception of I think AC Milan might have been in pot 4. So you probably lucked out in that regard. But we were probably, I think maybe we had the highest coefficient rating in pot 4. So I think it was honestly our pots that were the ones that maybe people weren't happy about relative to the other two. So when I speak to the Dortmund guy, I'll have to change my story.
Mehdi, what about you?
yeah, I was hoping for Group A, to be honest, with the Man City and the PSG. Not because I think we would get through, but I would like Besiktas to play against some really, really top teams just to get the experience. I know losing 5-0, 6-0 isn't fun, but to trying to be competitive with the bigger teams to show what we can do, because I really think we have a great team with a great coach, with a system that actually works. It could be fun. But Ajax, yeah, I feel Ajax is probably the least favorite team to come up against because they always somehow play great in Europe.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you always play great.
Yeah. We play great against the big teams.
Yeah.
It depends, it depends. I mean, if we play against the big teams, the thing is the big teams, they allow us to play, right? But if we play against other teams, lesser teams, they tend to be more defensive, which of course is more difficult, So that's basically the story a little bit. Look, you guys made some good points. I want to move now to your club, right? And you guys mentioned a couple of things which are very important and also interesting. Let me jump to it. I'm going to make a hot take right now. I'm going to say that I'm not really, of course, you guys are coming from pot 4, let's be honest, but I still think you guys are probably maybe the dark horse in this group. Nobody expects anything basically from you guys. Maybe you guys do, but other than the Besiktas fan. But you guys can surprise. You guys have the ability to surprise. There's not much that we know about Besiktas. I did some digging, some research, and I want to know basically because the success basically started when you guys hired club legend coach Yelchin, correct? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but thank you for that. So you guys were struggling 2 years ago in the league. You guys hired him. He basically managed to put you guys in 3rd place at the end, I guess.
Yes, 3rd, but we qualified for the Champions League because 2nd place had a ban, if I'm not wrong. Trabzonspor, right? Sinan?
That's right. Yeah. For the playoff, but we didn't get through it.
Yeah, playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So last year you guys didn't play really in the group stages, not even Europa League. But apart from that, I'm not gonna focus on that. You guys have been very successful last year. You guys won the league and also the domestic cup, if I'm not mistaken. So my question would be to both of you. I'm gonna start with Mehdi on this one. What has changed? What has made Besiktas so successful?
Oh, the biggest change is our coach because he came in with some kind of philosophy. He's talking to the players, which how to say it? The coach we had before, he didn't talk so much with the players. He didn't interact with them. And he came in with some tactics. He's playing a lot on the right side with Rashid Ghezal. We are overloading the right side, so our left winger Lauren, he can run to the back post and get a cross into the back post where he can be. He's both good on the hitting and on the ground. What else? We are playing a lot from the back. We are trying to play the ball up with a lot of position too. He implemented some styles that European coaches would actually implement, not Turkish coaches. Turkish coaches would just play 4-2-3-1 like everyone else does, and then tell the players go out and play, try and win us the game. That's normally how the Turkish coaches are. But I don't know how to say it, but he just came in with some different attitude and is just really trying to help the team. He's not even on some big wages like other coaches are in the Turkish league. He almost came in, how much? I think it was 900K he gets a year before this new contract. I'm not sure what he gets in this new contract, but he just loves the club and wants to do best for the club. He loves the fans. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. He just feels passionate about the club, so he just wants to win with this club and then prove himself in another league later on.
All right. Sinan, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, he covered a lot of bases there. That was good analysis, I thought. I mean, we had an interesting situation where I thought, like last season going into the year, I had fairly low expectations, to be honest. Like we brought in Rachid Ghazal like in the last minute of the transfer window last season, and like Valentin Rosier was the third string right back for Sporting the season before. So there was a lot of mystery going into the season, and a lot of things just really came together well. And as Mehdi was referencing, I mean, one of the key aspects of Sergen Yalçın's coaching style was implementing more of a kind of camaraderie, team ethos, morale, like they were really functioning together. Our social media team like actually stepped up in the same time, interestingly, but so they were showing all these fun videos of the players having like snowball fights, and it seemed like there was a really strong team effort throughout the season, and they were just having fun together, which I think the coach has to take a lot of credit for, especially since our last coach, who was Şenol Güneş.
Abdullah Avcı, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Prior to Abdullah Avcı. So Şenol Güneş, who had a run of success with Beşiktaş, he kind of fell off in his last couple seasons. And a big issue, in the media anyway, I don't know how realistic it was, but was supposedly he had communication issues, and sort of similar to Koeman with Barca, with Pjanic saying similar thing. Apparently Şenol Güneş wasn't communicating with a lot of guys. And so I think Sergen brought in a huge kind of a breath of fresh air for a lot of the team. And it seemed like that was a huge aspect of it. And then, on the pitch, it's funny, like for the first, I don't know, I think like 11 matches, we allowed like 19 goals or something like that. Yeah. But then for the rest of the season, we only allowed 25. So to say we were a good defensive side isn't entirely accurate. We were really bad in the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the year, we kind of collapsed too. But for much of the season, we have a very young goalkeeper, Ersin Destanoğlu, and almost an entirely new back line last season. With Wellington was new, Fabrice Nsakala was new, Valentin Rosier, who I already mentioned. So it took them a while to settle, but then they really did. So, and I think even this year, all of our additions are mostly up front. So that line should have some consistency, you'd imagine. And so we could be a good defensive side, but again, it really depends. They kind of buckled under pressure late in the season. So, obviously with the Champions League, you're getting a lot more pressure. So I don't know, we'll see. It could go either way.
Yeah. Look, one of the things you guys mentioned, right, is that your new coach, he implemented also possession, camaraderie, all these kind of things. I also read somewhere and also heard from other Turkish fans that he also implemented a little bit more of the pressing game. Your stamina level also went up across the board, with all the players. And you guys can do both. You guys are not, when you play defensively, you guys don't go back to your own defensive lines, but you guys really try to recover the ball as quickly as possible. Is that also why it went a little bit like up and down last year? Because it takes also a different mentality to play like that.
It could be, yeah, it could be because also at the end of the season, last season, of course, we played with, as Sergen said, 13 and a half players because all of our players was injured. And when we press so much, as you say, our players are getting fatigued, they're getting tired. So 13 and a half first team players and 3 youth team players who never have played for the A team before, it's very difficult. And 2 of those players, one of them is maybe a goalkeeper who is a first team player who never plays for us. So we maybe had 1.5 A team player on our team at the last 10 games, right, Sinan?
Yeah.
Around
Something
10
like
games.
that.
Yeah. So
So,
of course,
like Abubakar went down.
yeah, 15
Yeah,
games
that
before
day,
the season
yeah.
ends.
Maybe with 6 games left or something. But like, yeah, the defense, generally, we were losing our shape for about that long. Yeah. And the injuries started to hit us.
Exactly.
One after the
So look, the thing is, right? So we're talking about last year, yeah, right? Last season, and you guys really mentioned a couple of things, which is very good for us as a foundation. Now we're moving into this year. I want to stretch a bit also into looking at the circumstances around Besiktas, right? I mean, the Turkish league also suffers, of course, like any other league, from financial issues, right? Corona pandemic, but also apart from that, Turkish leagues are known, Turkish clubs are known for really paying high salaries to their players. When I'm looking at the transfer market, I looked only this season and last season. The thing that I noticed is you guys really try to look for opportunities. You guys didn't really buy big names or anything like that. Big names in the form of course, now with Batshuayi, but it's a loan. You know, you guys are looking for opportunities, like I said. How much of the championship team of last season is still there for this season? And how do you guys think you guys filled in the gaps and reinforced this team and is ready to match and play Champions League level? That's, I know, a very big question, a lot of questions, but Sinan, I'll give it to you first.
So, yeah, I mean, that's actually the key aspect, I think, was that we managed to keep much of the side together from last year. And I think the 2 big questions, I would say that 90% of Besiktas fans probably, I mean, 100% wanted to keep Rosier and Gazal. I would say 90% probably assumed we wouldn't be able to keep both, you know, because with Gazal maybe having too high of an asking price, Rosier maybe, if you know, valuing himself too high after a really solid season. That was, I think, for most of us, like, just if we can keep those 2, we can find a striker, we'll make it work. And when we managed to keep both, that was a huge win for us. And then just really adding piece after piece of like solid attacking, like Alex Teixeira I was shocked when we managed to pull that off. On top of keeping the 2 guys that I didn't think would be able to keep, and then Michy Batshuayi, and then Miralem Pjanic, and even a lot of the fringe guys, Salih Uçan, Kenan Karaman, guys who are currently playing for the Turkish national team. Turkey has this weird rule about having domestic players. You can have 8 foreign players on the pitch at one time, and then you have to have 3 Turks on the pitch. So it's overly complicated, and it's made all of this incredibly difficult. But so they've done a good job of kind of bringing in real talent that's foreign, but then also bringing in on the peripheral kind of good Turkish players that could, you know, complement that and help us in the domestic league with those rules. But then making sure we have enough really good, strong talent to play in the Champions League with a full side. So, yeah, I'm honestly blown away by our transfer window this summer.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Mehdi.
Yeah, me too, for sure. We didn't even sell anyone, did we? Except for Abubakar, who left for free. We just added on to our team and kept the players that was unknown, as Sinan said. I think we strengthened our attacking side very much, to say. And what? Oh, I forgot what I had to say, man.
So
I had it in my head.
So okay, so you guys added some players, right? I have a follow-up question, basically. Mehdi, you can take this one first. So what's the strength of Besiktas right now? And what's the weakness of Besiktas? If you have to, I mean, you're not going to tell me, but you have to tell us because we want to know. So please share your thoughts on that one. I mean, how would you describe, if you have to scout Besiktas, what would you say are the strengths and weaknesses of this team?
Right now, we haven't really seen too much of new players play together, so I don't really know what our strength is. I would say our offense is our strength because we have so many good options up front. even on the wide, in the central. Our backline is probably our weak link, but even there, I think we are good, especially on our right-hand side with Rosia and Gezal linking up together. They speak French, so they have a really good bond. Our left side is probably our weakest link. It's the weakest link, but it's not that weak again, if you get what I mean. We are good defensively on the left side, but not that good offensively. So yeah.
How much of these players have European experience?
Oh, not only our offensive have a European experience, and maybe one defender, Vida, who's played with us before in the Champions League and in the Euro World Cup 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our offense is probably the most experienced in Europe. I would say.
So Sinan, I was looking at Besiktas playing in 2017-18. Also, they played Champions League. They were in the group, correct me if I'm wrong, they were playing Monaco, Leipzig, Porto, which is a little bit, I mean, you can compare it a little bit with this group, a little bit. And the funny thing, I was looking at that group and you guys were number one in that group. You guys didn't even lose a game. I was blown away. So what went wrong from that Besiktas team that you guys fell off a little bit and you guys are coming back? Is it because of the coaching or what is it? Or you guys lost a lot of players?
That's a great question. And that's like it's been an existential question for Besiktas fans that we've just resolved, I think you could say. We were doing the right thing in the build-up to that Champions League run. We're fresh out of 2 championships in a row. We had been shrewd with our transfers for the most part, kind of shedding the reputation of bringing in overpriced guys who are a little past it, and that season we kind of lost our way a little bit. We changed. We kind of went back, and I think we were thinking about the Champions League, so we brought in a few guys who were maybe past it. I think we struggled to really round out the squad and keep building in the way that we wanted to. So we sort of fell off in the league that season. But the Champions League run was, kind of a magical, it really salvaged the season. And I think if not for that run, we probably would have replaced the coach by the end of that season, because I think he was kind of losing the locker room. But so in a way, it was like a blessing and a curse, right? What's interesting is that like the year prior, I think we won once, but we had 4 draws. So we had like not many points, but we were competitive. So we have a history of being competitive in Europe, but then, most Turkish sides are not good early in in those qualifying rounds and stuff, because we're always very late to bring in transfers. So, in recent years, all of Turkish football has fallen off because they've been trying to get in through qualifiers and stuff. And we too, like last year, like you mentioned earlier, we lost to PAOK and then Rio Ave in the Europa League even qualifier. So, I think it's a benefit for us that we're in the group stage. We don't have to worry about poor form or, the side can come together. Mehdi was saying earlier, like the big question mark is like how it comes together. The talent is clearly there on paper. We have a ton of talent up front now. The back line could be our weakness or our strength, depending on how they, pull together, basically, how they react to pressure. But so it's really just a matter of if the team grows together and kind of puts it together. Because again, on paper, it would seem this is our most talented side maybe ever, in some ways, especially with the recent additions. Like I was just saying on Twitter the other day, but I think Alex Teixeira, Miralem Pjanic, and Josef de Souza might be the best midfield in Turkish football history. I wonder if Mehdi agrees with that. It's sort of off topic, sorry, but
yeah, it's up there for sure.
But look, guys, Teixeira, for instance, right? You guys are mentioning him. He went to China, right? And he was without a club for a few months. You guys already touched upon it a little bit, and also Pjanic coming late. He hasn't been playing a lot for Barcelona. Of course, he has more rhythm than Teixeira. And then we have Batshuayi, coming in as well. He came a bit earlier, of course, but he also has been, on loan all the time, you know, but he has a little bit under his belt. Now you have to put everything together. And the thing is, you guys don't have time. I mean, 10 days from now, you guys are playing Dortmund already. So how much do you guys feel comfortable about the fact you guys can put the pieces together before that game, before the Champions League matches start? Because if you know, you only have 6 games. That's the thing. If you have a false start, it's very hard to pull it back, you know?
Yeah.
So Mehdi, how do you view this?
Oh, it's going to be very difficult, especially Sinan. If I'm not wrong, Alex Teixeira is injured right now, right?
Yeah, but I think he'll be back. It's a pretty minor one, supposedly.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know, man. It's going to be difficult, especially because Dortmund is our first game, and we all know Dortmund, Haaland, they are going to be very difficult. But I think we can get the group together if the Turkish Football Federation changes the rules, because I have heard some rumors about they will maybe change the foreigner rule so that all our players can play together, all our foreigners, of course, because right now the team we are going to use in the Champions League is not the same team as we are going to use in the Super League. It's 2 different teams because we have too many foreigners.
So again, the rule, just for the viewers, what's the rule exactly? So in Turkey, you have this rule. You have to play maximum.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have 14 foreigners, only 8 on the pitch at any given time. And I think they've now just changed the rule so that as far as substitutions, then you can now have more than 8 on the pitch. You can only start with 8 players. You have to have starting 3 Turks. That's like the bare minimum. But then like there was complications because like we wanted to make a sub, but if you subbed off, you know, if a foreigner got injured, you know, then you had to start doing these calculations. So they finally relaxed that, like, you know, 4 weeks into the season for some reason. But yeah, and as Mehdi said, now they're talking about maybe changing it even further because I think they realize they're putting us at a disadvantage for the Champions League and for Fener and Galatasaray for the Europa League too. So, you know, we'll see. I guess.
You guys expect this change? You guys expect this change to be implemented soon, this season already? Oh, you guys don't know.
I have no idea. I hope so. I really hope so. But...
Okay, so at this stage, it's only more like rumors or planning to do it.
Yes, exactly.
It's important to note that the TFF, the Turkish Football Federation, is probably best described as something of a clown car. I mean, it's really a mess.
Be careful, man. You'll be banned from the stadium if you keep talking like that.
That's true. I'm in New York anyway.
All right. So, okay, guys, we're going to finish off this podcast. Okay, so the question that we want to know now is realistically. I mean, you guys are fans, and I know you guys hope for something, but what do you expect? I mean, in this group to happen? What would be? I mean, what do you expect them to do? And what do you hope them to do? I mean, I will give you 2 different questions because, of course, hope usually kills you, but in this sense, I would just give it to you. Mehdi, what do you think Besiktas is able to do? I mean, the other day I was twittering with a Turkish fan, a very big Besiktas fan as well. He said literally to me, like, look, this team can be number 1, but this team can also be number 4. That's the best thing I can tell you about Besiktas. So do you guys agree with that?
Yes, for sure. I expect us to be third, to be honest. Okay. That's what I expect, and go to the Europa League and make a very good run there because of our players, of course. But I hope that we can get 3 points at least against Ajax or Dortmund at our home, and then 6 points against the Sporting, of course. I hope so. And then a draw at Dortmund or at your place, and then we are maybe getting the 2nd place if we are lucky.
Yeah,
and you guys will probably
basically the minimum you would be happy with is 3rd place, and you're hoping for a 2nd place.
Yes, if not first.
If not first. Sinan, what's your take?
I'm there. I fully co-sign the idea that we could be 1st or 4th. You know, and I think it's probably more realistic to say 4th. But I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, it's football on any given day. But you know, obviously the big wild card is just whether or not we can get all these new pieces together in the attack and they can find some sort of a fluid thing. If so, the sky's the limit. But realistically, I mean, I went into the whole season thinking that the Champions League was just sort of icing on the cake. Like, we had a great domestic campaign, a good transfer window. until very recently with these bigger names, I didn't expect any real success in Europe. So it was just like, if it works, then great, you know, and if not, it's no big deal. Let's just not lose 8-0 or anything crazy. But honestly, I think third place would be great, even, you know, because any one of the 4 teams, like, we're not the group of death, but we are a group of 4 teams that are, you know, anything can happen, you know, like it should be a very fascinating group.
Very competitive.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys ended up in first, you were Dortmund, and then like anything beneath there, we'll see. You know? I mean, it's a mystery.